Welcome, welcome. Come on in and join us. Come on in and join us. We'll learn a lot today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in and join us. Come on in and join us. We'll learn a lot today.
Hi my friends, welcome to Mr. Pete's Playhouse. It's me, Mr. Pete. Today we are celebrating Black History Month. Are you ready? You are? Great, then let's go! Every February, people in the United States celebrate the achievements and history of African Americans as part of Black History Month. In 1926, the second week of February was declared as Negro History Week to recognize the contributions of African Americans to the United States history. This week-long event officially became Black History Month in 1976, when President Gerald Ford wanted to honor the accomplishments of Black Americans in every area throughout history. Some people that are honored during this month are Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for equal rights for blacks during the 1950s and 60s, Mae Jemison, who became the first female African-American astronaut to travel to space in 1992, and Barack Obama, who was selected as the first ever African-American president of the United States in 2008, and so many countless others. Although they went on to achieve great things though, there were many times in their life where they had to be reminded to be proud of who they are. Let's read a book that reminds us that the color of our skin or the texture of our hair should not make us any different from anyone else, and that we can always achieve our goals no matter what. Chocolate Me by Taye Diggs, illustrated by Shane W. Evans. Sitting on my stoop one day when I was 5, not like Timmy or Johnny or even Mark, though I wanted a name like theirs. When we'd play, they'd say, "Look where your skin begins. It's brown like dirt. Does it hurt to wash off?" As they pointed at my nose, I froze. "It's so big and wide." I tried to hide. I squirmed and wiggled as they giggled at my teeth so white. "You can be a flashlight at night. Just smile and we'll be all right." When I came in from outside, I cried. "Why?" I asked my moms. "Why can't I be more like Timmy or Johnny or Mark with straight hair and a different nose? I suppose my teeth wouldn't seem so bright if my skin were a bit more light, right?" And then my mom said, "Now you wait 1 minute, my sweet. Can't you see? You have skin like velvet fudge frosting mixed in a bowl. Cotton candy hair soft to the touch of my fingertips, or braided like rows of corn with a twist. And your smile," she says, "makes me so happy I could cry. No amount of money could buy how it makes me feel. For real. It's perfect. Look," she says, "look in the mirror and love what you see." I started to think about my face, my skin, my nose, and my fro. And then what do you know? Along came Timmy and Johnny and Mark, who suddenly didn't seem so smart. And I started to smile and smile and smile. It felt so good I could taste it. But why? 'Cause I am chocolate. Chocolate is sweet. Chocolate is smooth. Chocolate is beautiful and delicious. Chocolate is me. The end. Chocolate Me by Tay Diggs. Clap for story time. Young, Gifted, and Black. Young, gifted, and black. Oh, what a lovely, precious dream. To be young, gifted, and black. Open your heart to what I mean. In the whole world, you know, there's a million boys and girls who are young, gifted, and black. And that's a fact. Young, gifted, and black. We must begin to tell our young there's a world waiting for you. Yours is the quest that's just begun. When you're feeling really low, there's a great truth you should know. To be young, gifted, and black, your soul's intact. Young, gifted, and black. Oh, how I long to know the truth. There were times when I look back and I am haunted by my youth. Oh, but my joys of today is that we can all be proud to stay. To be young, gifted, and black is where it's at. It's where it's at. It's where it's at. It's where it's at. Ha! You know what that sound means, right? That means we just got a text. Let's see who it's from. It's from our friend Alicia. Let's see what she says. Alicia writes, "Hi, Mr. Pete. I was visiting my grandma last week and she showed me a quilt that was made by her grandmother back in the 1800s. It had different patterns and patches and pictures that told of our family history. She said every time a new member of our family gets it, they add something new to them and pass on our family tradition." Wow, Alicia, I am sure there's some very strong family history in that quilt, huh? Sewing patches into quilts has long been a family tradition, especially for African American families. It told family secrets, memories, traditions, and customs, and so much more for hundreds of years. Let's do an art project to make our very own paper quilts. Get your supplies ready for Pete's projects. We'll be creating a paper quilt. The patterns and pictures on your quilt will represent things that are important to you. Let's begin. The materials you will need are different color paper, glue, scissors, and markers. First, you will choose one paper as the base for your quilt. You will fold it in half, hamburger style. Then you will fold it again so that it will have 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squares. Each square will have a different picture and represent something different. It is up to you to choose what you would like as your pictures and your patterns. I'm choosing the sun because it gives me energy, it nourishes my melanated brown chocolate skin, And every time that it rises, it represents a new day of life. When African Americans used to create quilts, they used a lot of squares and triangles in their patterns. That's why I chose to do a square sun instead of a circle sun. Make sure that your picture is small enough so that it can fit inside of the square. If you like, you can fold your paper as well to ensure that it fits. So I will draw a square. And I will use the yellow as the triangles to go around the sun. Now let's cut our picture out. Be sure to use a safe scissors. My next picture will be a tree. The roots of the tree represents my ancestors keeping me and my family stable, while the branches represent each member of my family. Remember, you can fold your paper first just to be sure that your picture fits in a square. Draw the roots. And then the branches. Next, I will draw hills and mountains, which will represent growing up on an island in the hills on the west side of the island in Lagrange. Hills are kind of easy, just up and over. Some are taller, some are smaller. And they're my hills. Let's kind of color them in a bit. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because they are just representations of things, the way that you see it. So now let's cut. Remember to cut it smaller than the actual square so that you know that it will fit perfectly when it's time to put it on your quilt. Lastly, I'm going to draw some arrows that point in both directions, forward and backward. This reminds me that I can't truly know where I'm going unless I know where I came from, and to always remember where you come from. That reminds me of a song. Hey, oh, hey, remember where you come from. Hey, oh, hey, don't take the money and run. Hey, oh, hey, you're just a link in the chain. Hey, oh, hey, remember where you come from. Triangle, and a line, and another triangle. And the last thing that I will draw are the actual patterns. I will use the blue to represent water, which reminds me of the beach, the ocean, living on an island, my birthplace. And I will use the pink to represent wind, the tropical breeze that keeps blowing me in the right direction. Before we glue our pictures onto our quilt, let's see how they fit in each square. And now we are ready to glue. Remember, one dot goes a long way. One drop, not a lot. Let's begin and glue our first picture, which will be my family tree. Okay, next I will glue my arrows. Next, my hills. Which reminds me to always remember you grew up in the hills of Lagrange. Next, I will glue my arrows. My remember where you come from arrows. And lastly, the sun, which nourishes my melanin skin. Lastly, I will put my ocean waves and my tropical breeze as the patterns around the quilt. And there you have it, my friends, my very own paper quilt with patterns and pictures that represent things that are important to me. The tree represents my family, my roots, and being grounded and stable by my ancestors. The sun represents the warmth and nourishment to my body and my skin, and also every time that it rises, it's a brand new day. The mountains and hills represent Me growing up on an island in the hills of La Grange, Frederiksted, St. Croix on the west side, and my childhood. And the arrows represent backward and forward. You won't know where you're going unless you know where you came from. Always remember where you come from. I can't wait to see the patterns and pictures and collages that you have made on your quilt that will be important to you and also your family and your family's history, and also your family in the future. This little light of mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, gonna let it shine. I won't let anyone blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. I won't let anyone blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. I won't let anyone blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, gonna let it shine. Mr. Pete's final thoughts. It is very important that we celebrate Black History Month to recognize all of the contributions of Black people to the world. From inventing stoplights and hair care products, music and art, and historically Black colleges and universities, this month reminds us where we came from and shows us what we can accomplish no matter what our obstacles are. Just as our first African American Vice President, Kamala Harris. Remember to always find music in the noise, to love yourself, and I love you. Happy Black History Month. We'll see you next time on Mr. Pete's Playhouse. Bye!